So, Anushka is learning some refereeing skills, which might be handy later.
Well, I am indeed, actually. I'm sat here with Paul Jenkins from Leisure Leagues, and Paul basically runs a five-a-side business, don't you, Paul?
I do a five-a-side league. I represent Leisure Leagues on a Tuesday evening.
On a Tuesday evening. So we've been sort of chewing the fat over the World Cup. Obviously, big game tonight. So England v Colombia. And we were talking about the introduction of VAR. Now, we were having a chat. You just firstly explain, I'm sure many people know, but if somebody doesn't, what VAR actually means and what it does.
It stands for Video Assistant Referee. And it's basically it's no different than perhaps Match of the Day on a Saturday night when they go over incidents and point out what should have happened. It's there to assist the referee. Because footballers have become big athletes now, the game over here particularly is played at such a pace you can't see everything that's going on.
So do you think, how do you think as a referee, referees would feel about this? Would they feel that it kind of discredits their decision because, or maybe it helps their decision? Because at the end of the day, it might be that they've got that option. So does it not plant a seed that you need to keep checking over and over again just to make sure?
Well, it's come in almost too quickly. It's going to take ages and ages and ages to perfect. But I don't want to lower the tone of the conversation. It's like Brexit. It's going to happen, so just get used to it, okay? And with VAR, some referees think it's undermining their authority, and some referees don't make a major decision because they know there's somebody looking over their shoulder who will correct it for them. You've just got to get the balance right. It's there to help.
So what do you think, good or bad, Paul? Do you think it's a good or bad thing from your referee perspective?
I think in the professional game, it had to come. We've got something similar in cricket, you've got it in tennis, and it's there to help make these major decisions. It can make such a difference. Those who have been watching the World Cup, the South Korea business against Germany, it just made VAR.
Why do you say that? Because literally, the decision to allow it when he wasn't offside.
When you looked at it first hand and at normal speed, it looked like a South Korean had passed the ball to his friend who stood in an offside position. The assistant on the line put the flag up, disallowed goal. But when you looked at it in minute detail, the German, his name is Tony Kroos, toe-poked the ball forward to the South Korean player, who's called Kim Young-kwon, who put it away, and it was a legitimate goal. But if it hadn't been awarded, history might have been changed. Germany might have won, and we wouldn't have had such a fantastic result.
Do you find as a referee then, Paul, that you play games back in your mind in sort of hindsight? If you've kind of called a decision, and then you go away and think, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that, or are you always very firm and sure? And is there ever a decision you've made and then you go away and think, maybe that wasn't the right decision?
I can mull over a decision, even at five-a-side, for hours and days afterwards. Not quite weeks, but I mull it over. Did I do right? Next time I'll do a different decision. Yes, I mull it over for ages.
You're only human, Paul. Sit around with me in the sunshine there, Peach. I'm actually learning loads about football. I'm loving it.
Now, England-Colombia tonight. Anushka is learning some refereeing skills.
So I'm basking in the sunshine here with Paul Jenkins from Leisure Leagues. It's lovely out here, isn't it, Paul?
Oh, it's superb. The heat is really good, and the sheer fact that you're in somewhere like Prospect Park, you're just green. There's still a bit of green around, and
it's not too arid here. It's still looking very lush. So we're talking about five-a-side. Now you referee five-a-side games, and not an easy thing to do, Paul, at all. And this has become quite popular because it didn't used to be as popular, the five-a-side thing, did it?
No, five-a-side was just sort of introduced be alongside 11-a-side, but as people's lifestyle changes, they now cannot play as much 11-a-side as they used to, and now 5-a-side is perhaps, as well as being alongside it, is replacing it, because people can play 5-a-side, you can get here, play the game, go home in little more than an hour.
So you think it's a time-sensitive issue, and also maybe to do wherever you are, regardless of the socio-economic climate, where you live, there's more likely to be more space to play that game than an 11-a-side game.
Well, with 5-a-side, if I can explain, where we're sat in Prospect Park, if you want to rent an 11-a-side pitch, it will cost you £115. Where we play 5-a-side, it's £28 for the whole team for the duration of your match, and if you split that between 6 of you, it's barely a fiver each. You try playing 11-a-side with £5.
So you think it's a money thing? People just can't really afford, and they think, is it worth it really? I don't have the time, I don't have the money.
It's all so many things. They don't have the time because their lifestyles change. People do different things on a Saturday and Sunday now. Whereas five-a-side, you come home from work, you get changed, you come over here and play it, and you can go back home to the family, and nobody's worrying about it.
Now, we had a little chat earlier. There's some sort of superstars of football, aren't they? And you mentioned that some of those got together, put a five-a-side team together, and they played. And you think that might have helped the reputation of the game?
Well, where it happened was in Pakistan, because the company I represent, Leisure League's, not only big in this country. In 2016, they set up an operation in Pakistan, and Ronaldinho, the ex-Brazilian, turned up with with a whole load of mates, and they played several matches in a stadium which was watched by 50,000 people and millions on television. So not just in this country, but other countries are now taking it on board, and it's going worldwide.
Fantastic. Well, good luck with it. And I take my hat off to anyone that referees this sport, because I think it'd be a tricky thing to do. And I just want to ask, obviously, big game tonight, England v Colombia. What is your prediction, Paul?
I think England might just succeed 2-1 if they play to their best ability.
Oh, let's hope so. Thanks so much, Paul. It's been lovely to meet you.
2-1, departing from the prediction from the Otters, which you're going to hear again before too long. 9:45 now.
BBC Radio Berkshire. Travel you trust every 15 minutes and as it happens.
BBC.